I've done two major live video streams. One was for a conference where I had to have someone actually man a bunch of cameras. We had to hardwire SDI cables for 150 feet, did multiple cameras. It was really complicated, really complex, and basically needed that extra person just to use all the hardware and make sure we did it properly. But I've been testing out a pre-release version of the new SlingStudio, which comes from the people that made Slingbox, who's now owned by Dish. But this SlingStudio is a pretty sweet way to get up to 10 camera angles, all wirelessly broadcasting through this directly to somewhere like Facebook Live or YouTube Live or some other kind of live streaming platform in the future that they hope to support. So been testing this out, and let's get into some of the features it has and how I could use it. Whether you're broadcasting live to YouTube or Facebook or probably some other platform it'll support soon, it creates its own Wi-Fi network to connect all of the different cameras and devices you're using that you want to broadcast different streams of. And it can also connect to an existing Wi-Fi network if you then want to go live. It can record up to 4 units at once to an internal SD card that you insert or a USB external hard drive. But it can have up to 10 total cameras where 6 of them are kind of in a standby state. And then if you put them into the main 4 angles, it'll start to record those as well. And your cameras can be up to 300 feet away using this Wi-Fi network. When recording, you can have it do it in a few different ways. One, you can have it record all 4 sources separately and isolated, so you can always go back and fix which angles are being shown when. You can record a quad view, which is kind of a preview of all the different angles, and then you can record the audio through the line in port, and you can also just record the program or output stream with all the live cutting and switching of angles that you already were doing during the broadcast. As far as other plugs on the back of it, there's an HDMI input, so you could run one camera or a computer feed or a video game system directly into the device via a hard HDMI cable. Also on the back is an HDMI output port. It's not a full HDMI size, it's actually a mini, but that's an easy way for you to tell the difference between the 2 ports. And you can go from there to a TV or some other kind of external monitor and get a quick preview of the quad view showing the 4 different angles. So that's really great for one person to kind of sit and monitor how all the camera angles are doing. To get additional camera angles into the SlingStudio, a few options are to, number 1, use the iPhone or Android app that they have called Capture. This enables you to use your phone as the video feed, and you can kind of change exposure or focus point just like you can when you're normally taking photos or video on your phone. The other way is to use the camera link. This has a USB port and an HDMI port that enables you to plug in HDMI feeds from video cameras, DSLRs, or mirrorless cameras. You charge the camera link through the USB port either while plugged into a wall or maybe a battery pack if you're on the go and you want it to continue to last throughout the day. And then the micro HDMI port is great for then connecting into a mini HDMI port on something like a Canon 5D Mark III or 4, or a full HDMI port on something like a Canon C100, or whatever size HDMI port you have. You just have to maybe buy that cable so it goes from micro HDMI to whatever your camera has. Another way to use the camera link is actually from an HDMI out on a computer. So I was able to plug an HDMI cable from the back of my Mac Pro into a camera link, and then the SlingStudio found that that desktop display of me just showing my YouTube channel was working as well. So you could use this for, pulling in the presentation slide of someone at a conference, or maybe you're doing a software demo and you want that to be one of the angles too. How this all comes together is by using the tablet app for both iPad and Android called Console. This allows you to switch between different angles. You can monitor up to 4 of the angles at a time. You can choose which camera's sound to use and actually adjust the audio levels in the mixer. It allows you to connect to all your camera links in your iPhones and the hardwired HDMI port, and just use all the different camera angles to switch between. You can tap once to preview that angle. You could double tap to go immediately to that angle through the program or broadcasted feed. You can also drag them around. You can do picture in picture, whether that's side by side, 3 of them side by side, 4 in a quadrant, or even picture-in-picture and be able to resize it as you'd like. You can create and add text titles live while you're recording and then preview them and push them to the program feed. You could also do things like sports scores, update them when someone scores, push them live at the bottom of the screen. Over on the left side is where you would push record to actually start recording to either the SD card or an external hard drive that's plugged into the SlingStudio. And then right under that is the Go Live button. And this enables you to set up a YouTube live stream or a Facebook live stream, and you can schedule them, set kind of the frame rate and set the bit rate that you're going to use based on your internet speed, and you can go ahead and go live. It's a pretty easy system to use. I figured out how to use it in just a couple minutes. You might want to schedule your YouTube stream, and then when you log in, that'll pull it in automatically with all the correct title and description and metadata and stuff. The audio mixer is really easy to use, and whether you're using just one camera's audio feed or you want to use a mixture of each of them, it's really easy to adjust the levels, and you can even monitor the audio levels and playback using your headphones on the iPad. For a bigger production like a live event or a concert, you're most likely going to have an audio mixing board that someone's going to be managing, and you can just take a line in from that into the SlingStudio and choose that as your audio feed. To make this setup as wireless and mobile as possible, you'll probably want to pick up the battery as well that plugs into the bottom of the hub. This charges in about 3 or 4 hours when plugged in directly to a power supply, or it charges in about 10 hours if it's plugged into the hub while you're using the hub. The hub should be powered by the battery for about 3 or 4 hours depending on what kind of recording you're doing and how many angles you have running into it, but that should be plenty of time for most live broadcasts. And this enables you to be away from power outlets or even, out in the wild somewhere. One more accessory to check out is the USB-C extender. Now, the USB-C port could be used to plug in a newer external hard drive and use that to record your footage onto, or you can use this extender to go to a USB 3.0 Type A hard drive, one with the older connectors, or it has an Ethernet port as well. So if you're doing a live stream, you probably want to be hardwired in and not rely on Wi-Fi, so getting this USB-C extender enables you to do so. When you're ready to edit, you're going to want their software plugins. So the Adobe Premiere Pro CC one is on the Adobe Add-on Exchange, and the Final Cut Pro 10 one is on the Mac App Store called Final Cut Pro Converter for SlingStudio. Overall, I'm really impressed with the SlingStudio. The iPad app is really easy to use once you figure it out, and that only took me a couple minutes. The ability to queue up different angles, get them exactly how you want them to, and then push a button or double tap to make that the live feed. It can be really dynamic and really quick to switch the angles and do what you need to do for something like a sporting event or a live broadcast of a conference with a speaker on stage and an audience there with multiple cameras you're switching between. I can see myself using it for that reason for my clients, or perhaps, doing a little YouTube live studio here in my office where I have cameras that are kind of permanent in places, and then I have one or two that's roaming that's just connected using that camera link where I can take it even, somewhere else in my home, or I can use my phone to get a very specific angle of something I'm talking about and switch to that. You don't even need really a producer or someone else to be there doing the camera switching either, because you can just have your iPad sitting there to the side, switch to what angle you want to use, make sure the audio is connecting, go straight to live on YouTube or Facebook with a couple of clicks. This is a really cool system. It's probably the best that I've seen out there compared to using like the Blackmagic systems, which you need a lot of hardware, a lot of wires you're running all over the place. And I didn't really notice any delay at all on using either the built-in Wi-Fi on the SlingStudio or using my own Wi-Fi network, which is also here in the same room. But in general, I was going upstairs and stuff, and it didn't have any delay in the playback or in the recording. And then one of the biggest time savers, which my editor Tim is going to be very thankful for, is with these, you can record both the live feed that you're switching between angles and all the originals if you need to get back and make a minor change on when exactly you switched angles to something. So that can save a ton of time in the edit of really long conference talks or sporting events, to just have the live to tape thing that you can immediately upload right after it's done if you have someone switching angles live. And features like that make this a huge time saver in the long run versus having to then go and sit through and edit that entire video that you filmed. So really like the SlingStudio. I'm excited to test it out more, do some more live streams, maybe think of a more advanced way to use this as well. Thinking about, what kind of audio inputs you can have through a specific camera or through the line import using an audio mixer board. This can kind of get as advanced as you want it to with as many camera angles as you want. But doing this, 3 camera setup that I was doing with a couple camera links, one hardwire into my computer to show my desktop, one from my phone that's a little more mobile and easier to use. And, ideally you would use all the same cameras so that things all look the same quality. But with live streaming, a lot of people are just used to watching people that are holding out their phone. So if you're using some DSLRs, even if they're different brands and stuff, then you can at least set the white balance and maybe change the tint a little bit to get them dialed in right and then equal exposure levels. Your live broadcast is going to look way better than most of them that are out there. So maybe the SlingStudio is an investment you're willing to make. Just the main box is about $1,000 here at the launch. And, the camera links and stuff are a few $100s. And then if you want an adapter or a battery for the SlingStudio, which is really great because if that power cord gets pulled out, you're going to want the battery. Or if you're in some remote place and you want to live stream, you're going to need that battery as well. So it's a bit of an investment. You're probably going to spend $1,500 to $2,500 to build this out. But for live streaming, I have not found an easier solution to use. A special thanks goes out to both B&H Photo Video and to SlingStudio for sending this out to me to test and review before this thing is available in the market. Now, I want to hear from you. What are you using to live stream? What platform? Is that YouTube? Is it Facebook? Is it Periscope? Is it something else? And then what equipment are you using? Tell me in the comments below. I like to know what people are using so I can get my hands on that stuff, do proper reviews and demos and tutorials as well. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can do so right here. Closing in on 20,000 subscribers. Thank you everyone for subscribing and watching my videos and following along. It allows me to have opportunities to try out equipment before it comes out, share it with you guys, do little demos, do detailed reviews, and I really appreciate you all. So I'll see you guys in another, in another video. Peace.